Well, hey, welcome back. I'm good, Grandpa BB. This is Beeb's Travelogue. I'm on the road again here, and we're in Brevard, North Carolina, with my friend Nick here at Duck Pond, and this is great time out here. This is a pottery. I'm gonna let you explain it more.
Okay. All right, Duck Pond Pottery.
Duck Pond Pottery.
It's a pottery studio.
Yeah.
This is it's a studio pottery as pretty much it's a solo show for most of the year. I am the only one working out of here in the summertime. It takes on a little bit different personality. I've got different friends that come and stay here and make ceramic art, sculpture.
Yeah.
But through the years, it's been kind of like a myriad of different people that have come through and done everything. You know, songwriters have stayed here, and
for sure.
And it, a little summer sabbatical.
Yeah.
Very loosely organized though. So
yeah, I don't know how I even got here.
So is that great? I was able to rope you in to do a little landscaping, mowed the lawn this morning.
Yeah.
For you listeners at home, he
crashed in the chicken coop the other night.
He slept in the chicken coop. And I was like, this sounds like some free labor coming my way right here. So he did a great job mowing the lawn, and that's kind of the spirit of the thing,
Yeah.
Is because there's a lot of little jobs around here, and the more time I can spend just doing my job, which is actually making pottery.
You're right.
The more I'm able to put food in the mouths of my children. So
there you go. So how long have you been here doing all this? And
I've been here since about 23 years in this spot. Yeah, I've been a potter since 1994.
Wow.
Yeah, that's got 93 maybe. That's when I got started.
Nice.
But I've been in this location since 98.
Yeah.
And this is my third studio, but this was the studio where I decided I was going to try not to have to sell my work on the road anymore.
Nice.
I used to do a lot of art shows, hauling trailers of pottery around, and I just wanted to stay in one place and do my thing, and pretty much I'm able to do that these days through traffic through our gallery and what little bit of wholesale I do and selling online.
Okay. I was about to ask.
It's I scratch a living out of it, so
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I see you guys making all kinds of things in there, drums and things that you would normally think of as pottery.
Yep.
But then so many more kind of conceptual pieces as well I've seen in there.
Well, I mean that is the cool thing about clay in general, is it's so malleable.
Right. Yeah.
That when you become skilled in working with it, you can just kind of venture off into so many different potential worlds of I think in terms of mostly when I make pottery, I make pottery for a living.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking in terms of potential markets or things that I like to make, and and a lot of times if you're doing the work you like, that can open up doors into worlds that are a lot of fun to be in, and when I say that, thinking especially in terms of making instruments, and I've been making drums for quite a while and different kinds of ceramic instruments off and on, and that's always so much fun because they're fun to play.
Right.
So you're one of your potential liabilities is it'll impact the production of your workday, because you're going to be spending a lot of time playing your instruments and enjoying them. But that's part of the fun.
I was thinking the guests would just pick them up and start playing, and then you might have a cracked one here or there because of that. But
that's never happened.
Really?
Yeah, it never happened. And I used to sell them at festivals and that kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah.
That's usually
people are pretty respectful.
Pretty respectful. So instruments are one of those things.
Yeah.
I do a lot of architectural work out here. I make a lot of sinks.
Okay.
Light fixtures.
Yeah.
Custom tile work.
Yeah.
And then of course I make dish sets, and I make as far as unusual things at the shop, I make patio torches that are
Okay.
sculpted heads.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like the cannibal kind of like.
Yeah, I mean, you can think. So yeah,
Or
I do a lot of that.
shrinking
A
heads or
lot of
something.
custom ones.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of political satire where I actually make them look like real
Yeah.
people,
Okay,
and
nice.
and like that's been making those for years. That's a lot of fun. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's a very and basically the more things you make like that, the more interesting the shop becomes.
Yeah.
So that's the business I'm in, is to create a space for when people walk in, they think it's a cool place to be while they're on vacation, and hopefully they go home with something.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Because it's like riding that line of like what's a normal thing that people will just buy random, that they need.
Yeah.
And then like what kind of art like really brings them in and like keeps them there too,
That's true. Yeah, true. So in addition to that stuff, I also make figure sculpture, and
I saw some of those busts were pretty like wild, like in the facial expressions and just
So I did a series of those
Yeah.
a few years ago. Usually when I do that kind of work, I'll focus on it for a period of weeks,
Okay.
and then it takes on a little bit of a rhythm to it, and
Nice.
And hopefully, if things go well, you end up in a place with the work that wasn't what you initially anticipated. So one thing leads to the next, and hopefully the person that's the most pleased and surprised is me. So,
Right. Yeah.
that's kind of like what you hope for.
It's just showing up and doing the work. You know? Like
that's right.
when you're talking about kind of like getting into a rhythm of making art, like as a musician, I never done that. Like it's always like pockets of things where like something pops up and you're like, okay, this is really cool. I want to do this, or I want to hold on to that.
Okay.
And then but then recently over the winter, I kind of like I found the spot. I knew what was gonna happen, and I just like, I'm gonna learn how to play drums, basically.
Okay.
And then so that kind of like fueled like where I was coming from, and I also needed some soundtrack music and stuff anyway. And all that,
so you were learning how to play drums so you could run multi-tracks on your other music?
In a way, yeah. In
Okay.
essence,
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it just came naturally, as far as like I've been knocking down instruments my whole life in a way,
Mm-hmm.
and like I've always worked on drums in a way,
Right.
I've been in drum circles. I've always had a drum set around,
I see.
but like
Were you working with kits or?
yeah, I was working with a kit.
Okay.
Yeah, there's it was really fun, kind of like organically trying to figure out timing and all, like
Right.
how I wanted to do it. But yeah, I ended up like, but that's what you were saying is show up doing the work like every day, knocking out a piece,
Uh-huh.
and then just seeing what happens. And like I would only give myself a day like to work on it, and that's what gave it kind of its shape. It was a little loose, it's a little like kind of rough on the edges, but that people one of the best compliments I ever got about my music, and then I'll ask you a question here,
Uh-huh.
is they said that your music always feels like it's about to fall off the side of a mountain as you're driving, but somehow you just hold on to the edge all the way around.
Uh-huh.
That's
a compliment, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Uh-huh.
I've always taken it as that,
Right.
But yeah, is it called? I think it's called derivative art, though, right? Like where you're like taking like an idea, and then you're just like working on that idea day after day, and like kind of expanding on it, or like,
I don't derivative art. I don't know. I'm not familiar with that term really.
Okay.
But I am very familiar with my own creative process and how that one thing can lead to another.
Yeah. Okay.
And
yeah.
And you have to be open to consider the possibilities at any moment when you're working on a piece of art,
Right. Yeah.
And I mean, I beyond pottery, I paint in the wintertime.
Okay.
And that I like doing that because I don't consider myself to be a skilled painter at all. I mean, I'm not trained or anything, but I know what's exciting to my own eye.
Yeah.
And when that's a good place to start because you don't have any pressure on you at all, you know.
Yeah.
But sometimes, last several winters I've worked with oil and cold wax medium.
Okay.
So I enjoy painting abstract landscapes.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll be days into a painting.
Yeah.
And it's a process of building up layers and then going back down through the layers. And sometimes you just don't. You might get to day 3, 4, not know exactly where this painting is going, but all of a sudden something will happen. You'll be like, "Oh my God, I'm in love. We're done."
Nice. Nice. You just kind of know.
And what that thing is was never anticipated from the beginning.
Yeah.
Now that is in a lot of ways. That's different from most of the work I do as a production potter.
Yeah.
I mean, not all the ceramic work I do is production pottery.
Yeah.
Usually in production pottery, you pretty much have, you wedge up your clay to achieve a target, and if you're a good production potter, you hit that target and you go home. It's very tangible and quantifiable.
Okay.
Not so much when I go in the sculptural realm. That's much more fluid and that is more open-ended as far as like the process and where it goes. So I like to do both of those things, but I make my living on the production end of things.
Do you ever like remember an old idea that you really liked, but then like just put a different like spin on it here and there, like?
That's a really good question, and I'm sure I have, but I don't want to take up too much time of you viewers out there. I have to think about that when I get back to you.
I just was thinking about that because I came down here the other day and I played one of my old songs and I like cut the intro that I normally do and just came in right on the verse and then and at the end I added a pause like I normally don't, but it just
changed it.
It gave it a certain amount of space and it
that was an editing move.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Right.
And it's it just is such a live art form too. It's just always in the last couple of years I've changed my decorating style for my production work, where I've started working more with I used to do a lot of wood firing of local clay. Okay.
And then a couple years ago, I got into working with red earthenware, decorating with underglazes.
Yeah.
And so now you're painting motifs on everything. It's a very painterly approach to pottery.
Yeah.
And you're working with these colors, painting motifs and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like every now and then I would stumble into a motif that I might have done kind of in a rush or not putting too much thought behind it. But it catches my eye. Maybe it's the motif, maybe it's the color combination, whatever. And next thing you know, it can potentially spin off like a whole line of dishes off of that one look.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of thing I'm always keeping my eye open for. What is successful, what is interesting to me, and then try to expound on that for a while until it wears itself out, because everything wears itself out eventually.
Yeah.
So
I'm picking pieces up about like I'm not a potter, right? Okay. But like
you'd never know that looking at you though.
That's why I have to clarify. But so when you're talking about underglazes, right? Like I've always had the perception that pottery is like you make it out of clay and then you fire it, right?
Yep.
But with the underglazes, you can actually paint on the clay as it's wet. Is that right?
Well, yeah. Underglazes are they're you can think of them as just colored clay slips, basically.
Oh, okay.
They're formulated so that they are really nice to paint with.
Yeah.
And you can paint them on wet clay. You can paint them on dry clay. You can paint them on bisqueware, which is work that's been fired to low temperatures just to vitrify the clay. You can paint them on bisqueware as well.
Yeah.
So it's a very forgiving way to paint on ceramics.
Okay.
But you can think of what you're doing. It's like working with paints in terms of layering the colors, and they call them underglazes because usually you then are putting a glaze over them, whether it be a clear glaze or whatever. They can go under other slips, and
Okay.
So
Okay.
Slips, a slip is a liquid
you can like
clay.
layer them and things like that, and have them like.
Yeah, just like as if you're working with paint.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna switch gears for a minute.
Okay.
We can come back to this, but
Okay.
but you have concerts out here on this deck, right?
Yep. Yeah, we the space that the kind of the idea for this pottery shop for me really is beyond just a place for me to make my living making ceramic art.
Yeah.
To create a space where it's a kind of cultural hub, I guess, where you can kind of pull in other people that are doing creative things, and part of that has been we've hosted a summer music series here for probably the last 18 years. We've had close to a couple hundred shows out here.
Wow.
And we've had lots of people come through here as kind of like young up and coming artists that have grown way beyond our venue, and that's been kind of the fun thing is it's a catalyst for like community vibing, and it happens to be a really good venue in terms of it being a listening audience, respectful audience, so you can catch some really amazing intimate shows in this space, and
nice.
So it's been this kind of helping host this series has been really a fantastic thing through the years. Lots of fun.
I love watching artists grow. Like especially like when you have a spot and you're in a spot for a while and you start to know kind of like the artists in the area, and you see where they're all at. Yeah. And then year after year you watch them just kind of like branch out in different ways. And this area in particular, the greater Asheville area, we're kind of a satellite to Brevard. We're our own town, but we're definitely we're in that Asheville region. And what you find in this area musically is there's already a long-standing bluegrass old-time tradition that's in this area, been in this area for a long time. And that lays a bedrock for all this new, more contemporary music that has moved into the area. And there is lots of musicians that are touring musicians, for example, that put their bands on the road, go on the road to play their thing. But when they're at home, they play with other people and different kinds of music. We've had open jams in this. We've had open jams, that long-standing scheduled open jams in this town. Where people that come off the road that are used to playing in front of 10 or 15,000 people at a gig are now jamming with other amazing musicians in a bar that has 75 people in it. And that has been going on for years. So really interesting for the audience. Really interesting for the musicians. And I think not being like a professional musician myself, I would think that this would be a really fun place to live. Because those opportunities are always out there, to play with other people. So it sounds like a lot of fun, honestly. Like I play, from my own perspective, I come from a small town in Ohio, right? And it's like there's not a lot of people to jam with necessarily, especially not someone who's been on the road, touring big shows or anything. But it definitely makes everybody a unique character in their own right, Like there's like a certain type of like pressure that is like develops over top of people, where there's like nothing to do, so you have to invent everything that you're doing.
Okay.
You know?
Well, there's something really good to that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like we have a mutual friend of ours in Akron that is like, she started up the art scene there.
Yeah.
It wasn't an art scene.
Yeah.
You know, you have a big show.
Yeah.
You get a bunch of people together and you invite the public.
Yeah.
And now you are the art scene, you know?
Yeah.
That's super exciting to be on the leading edge of anything, you know?
That's true too.
The downside to a town like Asheville, like if you were a visual artist, it's getting attention as a visual artist in Asheville. God, that's got to be like really hard to do. I mean, it's
everybody's an artist in this whole town.
Everybody's an artist, So your best bet in order to sustain yourself is to find a venue where you're going to meet an audience. But so that I guess that would be a challenge too, right?
I've been at a couple of the pockets. I always consider Asheville one of the main pockets, with like Madison, Wisconsin, and Portland, Oregon, and Austin, Texas.
Okay.
And then obviously the bigger ones after that are those feel like at least 10 years ago, that felt like it was, in my mind, like the medium up and coming music cities to me. You know?
Okay. Yeah.
So I would go to those places, but it was always so overwhelming to try to get in. You know?
Right. Yeah.
To try to I don't know, that's what I'm gonna try next though.
Oh yeah.
Because I don't know, I've been doing it long enough. I feel like I'm unique enough, and I have confidence, and I can just.
My advice to you, is just enjoy the experience.
Right.
Just enjoy the experience. If you enjoy the experience, and have that frame of mind, all the pressure is off.
Yeah.
Because you're and that puts you in a mental perspective where you're going to be performing way better than you would have otherwise.
Yeah.
If you have any part of your brain, it's like I play golf.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you are golf is a Scottish martial art. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a perfect Zen activity because you get instant feedback on what it is you're doing. And if you go to hit a golf ball and you have any part of your brain that's actively talking about what a shitty shot you're about ready to hit,
then
that's going to manifest right in front of you.
That's when golf becomes a terrible mistress.
That's right. But if you approach it where you're all rhythm and enjoying the experience, and you're gonna embrace whatever outcome comes up out of what you're about ready to do. You're gonna hit far less bad shots, and if you hit the bad one, you're gonna be in a much better frame of mind to hit the next one.
And that's all.
Music is the same way, right?
Oh, definitely.
I mean, because if you're the whole thing, especially if you're a jam band improvising musician, you have to be open to what's happening around you and be ready to go where you need to go creatively in that moment. You know. If the thought is like messing up, you're in the wrong part of your brain, right?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Because you gotta be kind of like visualizing down the road where you're going with it too.
Right.
You know, like you're not doing what you're doing right now. You're doing what you were thought about a few minutes ago.
That's right.
And like
it's like driving, looking into your rear view mirror.
Right.
You know?
Not
a good idea.
Last night I played the White Horse, and I just came up with random stuff to say. I was like, man, maybe I should really lean into this grandpa a bit, you know?
Well, I mean, it helps to have a little shtick, right? That definitely sets you apart from the crowd, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And so I haven't seen your act yet, but I've gotten to know your personality. Cool. And I can't imagine it would be off-putting. It's probably awesome.
People generally like to hear people, I laugh a lot, you know?
Okay.
But I laugh when I'm nervous too.
Okay.
So it's this kind of snowball effect, you know, where I am trying to make things that are funny, you know, but Like last night, it was great though. Like, cause like I just got up there. I was like, hey, I'm like 107 years old. I'm from Ohio. I'm from rural Ohio, and up there, like, we age like rabbits. Like, it's
and
fast.
People are like,
you know,
who
like,
is this guy?
You know what it's like where I'm from. You guys from Carolina, you don't understand.
Right. Do you know Woody Pines? Have you ever heard of him?
No.
He was a he was a, like, I guess old time musician is probably not the right word. He's from Ohio.
Yeah.
And he was more like maybe like old time country blues, ragtime musician.
Yeah.
But he had an act. It was a shtick. He lived it.
Yeah.
You know. He lived it. He had the old pork pie hat. You know, he had the suspenders on, and like
nice.
Not when he was on stage. Like you know,
just,
it was his whole thing. You know.
Yeah.
And I just wondered if you knew him. I guess he was huge like in Athens, Ohio. Like he'd go up there and play like big shows. Like he had a following up there.
Nice.
So
that's like larger than life personalities that like you just see them and you're just like, oh, I'm at the show. I'm in a show right now. The world is a fucking show.
Yeah, right.
Now.
No, it was everything from his car that he drove around.
Yeah.
He drove around in an old Metro.
Nice.
You know? And I can't remember. It was like a, you know, traveling folk art the whole way.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
So.
I used to drive around in a little King Midget. You ever see one of those cars before?
King
they made them
Midget?
in Athens, Ohio.
It was
back in the 60s.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Midget?
Yeah, it's called King Midget, and it was these like little small cars. I helped work on them for a long time.
Did they float?
No, they didn't.
Okay.
No,
okay.
they're not amphibious, but
okay. There was one of those cars, little ones from the 50s, was floated too.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
But yeah.
So did that get you like a date? Get some good dates out of that, or like
a couple? Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Lots of parades too. I would be in like.
Okay.
I used to be we used to jump in the parade and be like me and my grandma, and I'd have like a trombone and I'd be playing like songs outside while I was driving it.
All right.
That always got some attention, you know. Have like the festival flyers on the sides, you know, like promoting and all that. And, yeah. Yeah, I used to go pretty hard at promoting that festival.
What was it called?
Jubileego Arts and Music.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where was that?
Norwalk. Yeah.
Norwalk.
Yeah,
Ohio.
September 25th.
Okay.
Yeah, it's coming up here in a couple of months here.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, working on that right now. It's gonna be. We're just doing like a light one to get back into the groove again. We took last year off.
Post COVID.
Yeah.
Post COVID. Okay.
Yeah. So it'll be like one day, 8 bands, probably 10. But you know. And but you know, as long as the whole group gets back together again and everyone's like, that'll just be great anyway.
Right.
You know.
Well, yeah. Wish you luck with that. It sounds cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this is our 8th one. Something around there. Yeah. So.
Do I get a couple of free tickets for doing this podcast?
There you go. Yeah.
There you go.
Man, if you want to make the trip, man, I'll give you free tickets for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll see. When is it?
September 25th. Yeah, it's the last Saturday in September. There.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we always have it around there. It was Great Grandpa BB's 100th birthday bash. Was the first one.
Yeah.
It was still called Jubileego, but that was like kind of the tagline too. You know. And it was on my birthday, so I just like ran with it kind of in that way. So that's how you know how old Great Grandpa BB is. People usually show up trying to find some old guy playing stoner rock or something.
Okay.
You know?
Well, it's a name you can grow into too.
Right. Know? Yeah, for sure. I didn't, you know, I don't know. I didn't want to turn 30, so I turned 100. You know. But yeah, I mean. We have like a lot of folk music, a lot of bluegrass kind of jug band things going on.
Oh man, Woody Pines would have fit in right with that crowd.
Yeah, for real. But the biggest guy we ever have, and I told you about him earlier, is Steve Poltz. He was like the biggest pole that we had in the area. But that guy's wild. He's another one of those like kind of like larger than life personality figures.
Yeah.
And all that. But, yeah. So this place is amazing, you know.
Oh, thanks for saying that.
Yeah, like just like you walk through here and there's just like artists working. Like I feel like I'm at residency. Like I'm like, oh man, what do I need to do?
There's lots of little nooks and crannies to the property.
Yeah.
And that's why it's been a fun on those occasions when we have people staying here doing their thing. You can kind of get spread out on the property. Without getting, you kind of find your own area. We hosted a kids summer music camp here.
Okay.
About 4 years ago. I did it with some friends of mine from the Pretty Little Goat Band.
Oh. Cool.
And it would
sounds fun.
This on the deck would be the main area where we do like the main workshops, but then there'd be little satellite areas where they break up and do, like music history classes. They do like a improvising mini workshop where they'd take 3-4 kids, they'd go off to another area for an hour. And it was pretty neat.
Nice.
So we got some customers. Hey y'all.
Hey, you guys are on a podcast.
No need for the alarm.
Yeah. So this is live operating operation here.
We got my neighbor's got a dock.
Okay.
That gets us onto the river.
Okay, so we're right on the river.
Yeah,
right
now.
On
the French Broad River right
I'll put
here.
up some pictures here.
It's right behind the deck, and there's a path that goes down that. So paddling out of here is like we haven't done that with you yet. We got to do it before you leave.
Sure.
Down on this end of the property, there's a gravel shoal that goes out into the river, and that. Right now the river's down, so it's like having your own beach down there. You can go down and hang out there.
Yeah.
There's a chicken coop, which is a building. It's an old chicken coop that is my painting studio in the winter.
Okay.
And you stayed there the other night.
Yeah,
so
we're well
that's a place
acquainted.
to stay. We're gonna build a tree house down here.
Oh, nice.
Sometime in the near future we'll have another place to stay. So next time you're in town, I'll put you up there.
That'd be great. Yeah, I mean, you could rent it out as an Airbnb at that point. Like.
I mean,
couple extra bucks.
That's a possibility. I haven't really thought about that too much.
Yeah, just checking out the area, like Brevard. Like, I don't know, it was hard to find like a good place in Brevard that was, within reason cost-wise.
Yeah, anything that puts food in the mouths of my children is good for me, right?
Yeah.
So
like I found some tree houses on there that people were renting out for $1,300 a week.
Are you serious? Okay, that's Duck Pond Pottery, y'all. Find us online.
Come on down to the resort area.
We'll have the vacation of your dreams lined up. $1,300 a week.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think too much money might be a bad thing for me.
Right. Yeah, you might have too much freedom on your hands.
Yeah, get me out of my rhythm, out of my working rhythm.
Yeah.
So, but that sounds good.
Keep the pressure on. Keep rolling out the pieces, right? Keep them up. I always think about it as momentum a lot too. Like, I do a lot of writing and things too. And it's very much if especially if you're writing like a long thing that's gonna take months to do, or something like that.
Right.
You want it like you can't go away from it. You have to keep that momentum going.
Focus.
Like,
It's oh gosh, in life, if it's gonna manifest into a reality, dreams, whatever this vision you have.
Right. Yeah.
It takes focus. That's the only way. Nothing gives something focus than putting energy towards it every day.
Right.
So that's where it happens.
Yeah, because you build like it's like you have like a solid platform of like a certain level of energy about the project. You know,
right.
that you can kind of like keep, and then the next day it's still going to be there.
Right.
And that's the most important thing, I think, especially in like those long projects like that.
Yeah.
Or even like if you're doing a short project every day,
But for something that requires a creative input, it can be really hard to pick it up once the initial impulse is dead.
Yeah, definitely.
I know.
And also keeping secrets is paramount, right? Like.
Oh yeah, like leak because you mean like that's the the thing about leaking air out of the balloon.
Right.
You know,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know, if you have an idea for a project that you're really excited about,
and then
if you start leaking air out of that balloon by telling too many people about it initially,
yeah. Well,
because what you're actually doing, like if you analyze it, is the pleasure that you get from
you're releasing.
It's a chemical thing.
Yeah.
And by telling somebody about it, you're already taking little spoonfuls of that pleasure chemical without doing anything.
Yeah, you didn't do anything.
You know?
Yeah.
So
well, you had an idea.
You had an idea, yeah. I mean, but like,
it's still like at that point you're just telling someone else to do it.
Yeah, that's right. So I've been guilty of that like so many times.
Me too. Yeah.
And now I always think to myself that like every time, like it's such a great feeling to have like this thing inside of you that you haven't told the world about.
Yeah.
As soon as you tell one person, it doesn't feel quite as good. You leaked a little. The pressure has been relieved a little bit.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
that's definitely true what you're saying.
Yeah, part of being an artist in general, or part of being just a creative, I think, you know, like is being able to have patience and let the process just like kind of find its own route. And like a lot of times I'll just not have an idea at all, and I'll just go to it and be like, okay, whatever happens is what's gonna happen right now.
Okay.
One day I was like on the way to the studio, and like NPR was playing some Celtic music, and I'm just like, I could do that. And then I really wanted to do that, and then there was no time for me to think about it, and I was just doing it. You know? So you didn't have like, there was no kind of like, no first idea. I mean, it was immediate. It was more of an immediate thing.
Okay. Yeah.
I run into things like that. I try to do things in that kind of aspect for that reason a lot of times too.
Right. But writing, you were talking about writing initially when you brought this up.
Yeah.
So writing can be, I'd say, like when you put something down for too long a time, it's got to be, I have never done a lot of writing, but it seems to me that'd be really hard to resurrect a writing project like that. You'd have to really takes a lot of inertia to relaunch something like that.
Like any kind of a long, like I tried to write a whole novel a couple years ago.
Okay.
And I just basically went up to Massachusetts and stayed at this guy's house and did it.
Yeah.
And it was like the whole first draft, and I was like, okay, when I get back to Ohio, I'll finish the second draft. It'll be great.
Yeah.
And then I got a good amount into it.
Yeah.
And then, then there's a festival I got to throw. And then there's shows I got to play.
Yeah, life gets in the way of all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, it does.
That's Bob Dylan. What was his famous quote? Is life is that thing that happens when you're busy making plans,
Yeah, exactly. Yep, couldn't be more true. It's, it's daunting. Whatever you're doing, I don't know. I can't. And then you got to go back and read the whole thing.
Okay.
I like reading books. I'm always reading like 5 books.
So tell me about. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Tell me about this this podcast for you listeners that are still with us after all this time. What do you how do you envision your listening audience? What are they what are they into? Why are they watching this podcast?
I think that they're curious, and I think that they're like want to learn,
Okay.
Because I know my plans for it in the future, as far as like what types of content I want. It's going to be obviously a bunch of artists and a bunch of musicians and a bunch of people that like I know.
Okay.
But also like I want to get into like agriculture or permaculture type of things, and like or even like computer coding. What let's talk about like what kind of what is social media, like what can we reinvent it as, or like, and there's different people that I know that I'm going to talk to about this stuff, but I just want like a learning thing, because like I want to learn, like that's kind of why I'm doing it in a way,
Okay.
and I'm just constantly like learning stuff anyway, you know.
Right.
So it's nice to kind of like have the conversation and like, you know, get it on tape, and then and the other people can learn about the same thing, you know.
Right. Okay.
So in that aspect, it's kind of a classroom. Some of them are more classrooms than others. Some of them are more entertainment, you know.
Okay.
But that's kind of the nature of podcasts, I think, too. You know, depends on what the other person wants to do and what they want to talk about, and you know. But yeah, like I think that, I mean, my general audience is like people mostly in Ohio, you know, who like know me and know that I'm probably an eccentric, you know, like. And I've only been Grandpa BB for about 8 years, same amount of time I've been doing the festival.
How old are you?
37.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, so that's all of the Grandpa BB fans are kind of like my audience right now.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, that's a pretty fast building audience too.
It is.
Yeah. As you're barnstorming around. This is your barnstorming tour right now, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I'm trying to pick up a few people here and there. I met a few people last night, and like, that's the best thing though. You know, like you can just like get out there and be like, when you're playing music in your own hometown, it's like it gets stale. You know, it runs its course. Like, you know, like anything. And so you're constantly coming up with new material. Like I was constantly like, okay, well this year I'm just gonna play piano and tell stories.
Right.
You know, next year I'm gonna do, the guitar. Next year I'm gonna do a banjo album, or like I was always like trying to like do something to kind of like catch the local, zeitgeist again back up. But if you're on the road, like, you can do all your old stuff all day, and everyone's like, "You're a wizard," you know? Like,
right.
Who is this guy?
Yeah.
I'm like, I've been playing this song for 7 years, man. I don't know.
Right.
You know.
Right.
But it's so cool that way, because you get a lot of more excitement, more energy in the crowd.
Right.
Things, and it's more exciting for me to play it for them. Because I know that everything I'm doing on the spot, I can just make up too. Yeah. And I do a lot of times make up just words on the spot, especially between songs, but sometimes in the song itself.
Yeah, you can kind of play your audience a little bit. Every
Yeah.
time you play live,
Yeah.
it's like a painter whipping out his paints, and this is your opportunity to be a improvising entertainer. And,
yeah, for sure.
Where is your favorite place to play?
Oh, man. Well, I have kind of a venue going called the Water Bottom.
The Water Bottle?
The Water Bottom.
Water Bottom?
Yeah.
Oh.
And I like to play there a lot. That's pretty much the only place I play in my hometown anymore, because it's right there. And like.
But I mean, as far as traveling around, what's your favorite area around the country that you've played?
Maybe like in Cambridge, Massachusetts. There.
Okay.
I love Boston a lot.
Yeah.
And
I got a friend that's living there this summer. Yeah.
Nice. I like whenever I'm in Boston and things get overwhelming to me, my fallback position is Cambridge, because I'm just like I just feel at home again.
Wow, that's got like that's got quite a history as far as the folk scene in Cambridge is extensive,
sure.
Right?
True. Yeah,
I know when I last lived in that area.
Yeah.
I guess that was like late '80s.
Yeah.
That's when Tracy Chapman was.
Okay.
She was like the hit of Cambridge back then.
Nice. Interesting.
Yeah.
In the heady bookstores, man, I just like, that's my retreat, man. That's my refuge a lot of times, like, because they have like the real like, thought-provoking kind of books, the real like kind of like, pondering, like wandering ones.
One of my best experiences, memories as a student.
Yeah.
I was taking an art appreciation class at the University of New Hampshire.
Okay.
And we had a writing assignment we had to do, and there was lots of choices. But one of the choices was to write a paper on a specific painting that was down at the Fogg Art Museum at Harvard.
Oh.
And so this was like in mid-February.
Yeah.
And I drove my ratty old Volkswagen Diesel Rabbit.
Yeah.
The thing like hated the cold. I mean, like ba 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 ba.
Yeah.
And it had holes in the floor. And I drove that thing down from New Hampshire into Cambridge.
Yeah.
And found a place to park the car and went into the museum and spent maybe an hour with the painting.
Okay.
And took some pictures and decided like what my angle of attack was on the paper and then went home and wrote the paper over the next week and
nice.
It was like such a great experience for me at that point as a student, just to have that time to get out of New Hampshire and go down to Massachusetts and see Boston, and
for sure
it was great.
Yeah, it's always worked out really well for me there. Like the people there, like I played a place just north of Boston, like not Boston proper, and I met some people who are still my friends now, you know, and like it was like one of those nights where like I don't know if I had played yet. I don't know, but anyway, they're like, "Hey, who else has some poetry?" And I'm like, "Hey, I'll do something," you know. And like, they filmed me, and like, that video, just like the people who saw that video, like in Ohio, were like, "Oh my God, like this is the greatest thing I've ever."
Oh really? Okay. Look, somebody from Norwalk is in Cambridge.
Yeah, basically.
So, where's your favorite club in Cambridge?
What was it called? It has like this like the Mecca, I think it's called. I think it's called the Mecca.
Okay.
Yeah. I need to look that up again. It's been a while since I've been there.
Yeah.
But, it's a cool little club. It's like it's kind of a rock and roll club, and like half the time, you know. But otherwise, yeah, it's a good time there. I don't know. Like, I've had a lot of old venues that have been my favorite to play. Like, it's great when you find your audience, you know, like for whatever you're doing. I used to have like a punk rock band that used to play this place called the Old Glory. It's like an old tattoo shop in Canton, Ohio.
Okay.
And it was like, man, it was so great because like we just played all my songs for a set, and they were just like in love. And we're like, yeah, dude, this is what we do.
Wow.
And so we played that place a bunch, you know. But that was super DIY, you know, everything, and I don't know, great time. They own the Buzzbin in Canton Art District now. Art District has grown a lot in that town now. But,
okay.
I don't know. I don't know. Any like kind of like future projects that you're thinking about, like that?
Future projects for me?
Yeah.
As far as
I guess don't let the air out of them, right? Like, but,
right. Well, no. I mean, a lot of the ones that I do are already out there, like stated. So.
Okay.
But future projects in terms of what? In terms of my ceramic work? In terms of like the duck pond pottery in general? What do you mean?
I don't know. I mean, like, I feel like you're pretty comfortable here, right? Like,
well, I mean, you know, I'm kind of you got me like summer season. I'm in a groove. I'm filling orders. I've got new bodies of work that are kind of coming out. One thing about like the kind of work I do with ceramic, it's very, you got to plan it out in terms of your material, your types of firings, and you kind of lay it out there, and like you better know what you're doing because you're bringing like 1,500 pounds of material onto the property, and it's got to go somewhere, right?
Right.
You got to, so.
Damn.
There's a lot of intention behind a lot of the work I do.
Okay.
I do a lot of natural building. That's something we haven't talked about. That's a passion more than it is a business, but a lot of my projects around here in terms of building up the space have been natural building, where we're working with Cobb, and I do I call it hippie masonry, where basically I collect all kinds of rubble from torn down buildings and broken pottery, and build forms and work with wet cement and cast. It's a form of casting where you're casting this material into walls and structures, and so I do a lot of that. And then we've got looks like we're gonna have I do it with a friend of mine, Josh Carter, who's also a great musician. If you want to meet other musicians here in town, he and I do natural building projects, and we build ovens. We build cob earthen ovens, wood-fired ovens. Looks like we have an oven that's going to be an oven project that's going to be coming up in the fall. Where that's going to be a workshop where we teach other people to process, and this is going to be for a restaurant up the mountain here. So that's a project we have going on.
I think I might have heard something about that, like where they float down the river and then have like a pizza or something like that. Or?
No.
Oh, is that a different
thing? He was talking about that as a guiding business. But he's already manages like a brick and mortar restaurant up the mountain.
Gotcha.
I build wood-fired hot tubs. I'm really into hot tubbing. That's
nice.
That's like its own kind of religion around here in the wintertime.
Can you quote me on that? Like, how much do you think one would run?
A hot tub?
Yeah, generally
well, it
speaking.
Depends. If you were to get involved in it on some level and put some effort into it, it'd be a lot less.
How? I mean, do you fire it all at once or like in pieces?
The hot tub?
Yeah.
It's not pottery.
Oh.
It's like the oven. It's sand, clay, straw, rock. The tub itself is a galvanized stock tank built over a firebox. I use the same style firebox that I use for my wood kilns for ceramics. And basically, it's a type of a mass oven where you're charging a mass of you're putting energy that is soaked up by this the mass of the hot tub, the water, and also all of the sand, clay, and straw that's around it. So what's nice about them is it takes one little fire a day to keep them up to 110 degrees. So they're always ready to be used in the wintertime. You got to go out there and do your one fire a day. But it's not at all unpleasant or anything. But it's not like having it plugged into the wall. There's a little bit of intention behind using it. But what it does when you have one of these hot tubs, it turns weather on its head. The worse the weather gets, the more stoked you are. The joke around here is that the biggest problem you'll have is wiping that smug smile off your face in the grocery store, because you use them twice a day. You're either coming or going from your hot tub. And your body gets really addicted to
I bet.
The experience, and it's very mentally, it's just very relaxing, and I don't know, just like when you're if you've just been in a hot tub, you're super relaxed. And if you know that getting back in is part of your future, that improves your attitude.
There's an outlook. And
in the winter, I just can't say enough about like these hot tubs. I only use them in the winter.
Right, for sure. That's pretty great. I haven't thought a lot about like natural building materials before. We do a lot of 3D printing up in Norwalk. On a bigger scale, and it's so I'm always constantly thinking in those terms, or steel, because that's what we do in the shop. I guess we're building like little mini cars and stuff, like that. I mean, that sounds like a way funner project, honestly. Like, I always like jumping in the projects, I guess,
well, especially ones that don't cost a lot of money, and that is a huge attraction for natural building. Is not only is the end product going to be something that's lasting and really beautiful as a piece of like artwork, but it doesn't cost you any money.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
like Lowe's never gets a cut out of any of our projects. Our our ovens, our hot tubs. It's sand from the river.
Yeah.
I have a neighbor that has a permit and has a actual crane that pulls sand out of the river. It's very inexpensive.
Oh wow. Okay.
Happens to be excellent quality sand for building.
Yeah.
It's got it's not like play sand. It's got lots of different shapes and sizes and keys into each other.
Yeah, there's like, what is it, like a certain I'm trying to think of the word, like it permeate, it has like a certain amount of water it can absorb to like stick together.
No, the sand has no absorbency at all.
Okay.
It's the clay, the cob. When you build a cob, the material portions are 3 parts, generally speaking. 3 parts sand, 1 part clay.
Okay.
Okay, and then straw. And the sand are if you're looking at it at the microcosm. At the level of the microcosm, the sand is your that's your masonry rocks. Okay.
Okay.
Those are your rocks.
Yeah.
The clay is your mortar, and the long straw is your rebar that gives it its tensile strength.
Nice.
And when it dries, it's hard as a rock. I mean, it's it's like concrete.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It has the quality of concrete.
Like, how smooth is it then?
It can if you get the how you work the plaster at the end is kind of its own thing.
Gotcha.
And so you can get into extreme levels of refinement to the point where they, are burnished and reflect light and are extremely beautiful. You know.
Yeah.
Most of my projects, I don't get that far down into the refined plaster. I'm more of like a rough plaster, which has its own charm.
Yeah.
But usually these projects take a long time.
Yeah.
Usually by the time I'm down to it being functional and looking good, I'm moving on. But you can always come back to them and do further plaster work years down the line. That oven I'm gonna replaster this summer.
Yeah.
And at that point, like now, when I replaster it, I'll be putting types of plaster together that are more fine than I would on there now, and so that'll give it a whole different look.
Nice.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow. Yeah, I like that. Like that sounds like a really fun, and.
Natural building projects are super fun. They tend to be communal.
Okay.
I mean, like the indigenous cultures around the world have their own traditions. These go back thousands of years. These sand, clay, and straw. Sand, clay, and straw. They have provided excellent housing for people around the world, going back to the Stone Ages.
An adobe kind of thing?
Well, adobe, if you take that material, sand, clay, and straw, and put it into a brick form and make a brick, that's an adobe brick.
Okay.
If you build with those bricks, you made an adobe structure.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Yeah.
So that's different than, it's the same material, but when you're working with like a cob, it's more of a mono structure where you're knitting the material together as you go.
Okay.
And that's actually a stronger structure.
Okay.
If you were to test
because of like the curves in it and all that.
Well, it's when you build with adobe, the only thing that's holding one adobe to the next is is gravity and that plaster that you put over on the outside.
Right. Yeah.
That's usually going to be okay.
Yeah.
But if you want to test how strong it is, have an earthquake happen.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And you'll find out how strong that is compared to like an adobe. To a adobe as opposed to cob.
Okay.
The cob structure is going to fare a lot better than the adobe. The adobe, when you see earthquakes in, down in parts of Central America or Africa where they build with, adobe comes from Spain. I mean, that's the Moors are the can be credited. I think I could be wrong about that.
Yeah.
Adobe's all over the world.
Yeah.
But usually those structures don't fare well if they encounter an earthquake.
Gotcha.
So.
Okay. Yeah, I was unaware of the distinction there. That's cool. It's like industrial versus kind of like a craft craft in a way. They're both a craft, I guess.
Yeah, they both are definitely.
Yeah.
Adobe structures are beautiful.
Yeah.
There's I'm not putting Adobe down at all.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's just a different way of going about building the structure.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. Like try my hand at that someday.
Well, you're in the right place. We have
Nice.
a bunch of projects that are gonna happen here this summer.
Cool.
That are be a good intro to what we're doing. If you're game, maybe we should start them while you're here. So we'll get going on that.
Cool. Sounds like fun. I don't know. You think of anything else?
Well,
now, or,
I think we're in a good spot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of information to take in.
People know.
I'm running out of material personally.
Yeah.
You know?
Fair enough, you know.
Okay.
I threw a Jubileego commercial in there for fair game.
Okay.
You know, like.
So anyway, look this guy up online, buy some of his CDs, go to his festival.
Go to the Duck Pond.
Yeah, the Duck Pond.
Brevard, North Carolina.
Buy some pots, stay
Today.
in the treehouse.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
Do you have a website or anything? Or?
Nah, I have a product that I make, WoodSense, that has a website, woodsense.com.
Okay.
But I at the moment I don't have a website for the Duck Pond. That's like my Achilles heel right now.
Gotcha. You sell through like Instagram or anything like that?
Instagram. I'm on Instagram. Duck Pond Potter.
Cool.
On Instagram. So that's a good way to like see what I'm doing.
Yeah. All right. Well, you heard it here, folks.
All right. Bye, listening audience.
Later.